the question number 5 in the quiz help video. Dividend D1 is $1. Required rate of return is 10%. Dividend yield is 5%. Growth rate will be constant in the future. Calculate the expected stock prices in year 6. So there are several ways to do that for this question. The first way we can do that, since we know stock price will be growing at the rate of G every year, and G is how much? Dividend yield is 5%. Then we know required rate of return R should equals to dividend yield plus capital gain yield. So in this case, capital gain yield equals to 5%. This is G. So this is G. Okay, so since we know G, this is dividend. G is capital gain yield or stock price increase rate or a dividend growth rate. So since we know D1 is 1, G is 5%. So dividend is growing at a rate of 5% every year. So how much is, so it's asking for stock price in year 6. It was a typo here. It should be P6 here. In 6 years. So it should be P6, not P7. Okay, let's do that. Let's say D, to get the P6, to get the P6, we should use D7 over R minus G. This is the equation. To get the stock price in year 6, we need to use the dividend in the next year over R minus G. So how much is D7? And D7 should equals to D1 increase at 5% year by year. How many years between D1 and D7? 6 years, right? 6 years. So with the power of 6, that will give you the D7. And then so you can, once you got the D7, P6 should equals to D7 over R minus G. So it should equals to D1 is 1, right? 1 plus 5% with the power of 6 over R minus G. 10% minus 5%. This is a difficult question. It's just like to figure out the stock prices in 6 years. So you need to use D7 over R minus G, but G is not given. But since we know stock return equals to dividend yield plus the growth rate, so we can figure out the G that way. This is the first way to do that. Second way, since we know capital gain yield is associated with stock price increases, so we can try to get the, since we know the informations are all there, so we can figure out the P0. We can figure out the P0 equals to D1 over R minus G, right? So equals to 1 over minus G. Okay, so this is P0, and P6 it just equals to P0 increase at the rate of G for 6 years. So that's it, right? So you got the P0 from this equation, and G is 5%. With the power of 6, that should give you the P6. You should get the same answer using the two different approaches. This is question number 5 in the help questions. Okay, so number 6, this is a non-constant growth rate. I see dividend grow at 20% for the next 4 years, after which dividend will be 0. Growth rate will be 0. The last dividend is 1. Return is 9.6%. Current price of the dividend is how much? Yeah, so I put down the hint here. You use MPV function D1, D2, D3, D4 plus P4. Or let's give it a try using that calculator. 20% for 4 years, and then 0% for a year after year 4, and it's $1 for dividend, 9.6% for return. Okay, let's do this. So it's $1. Return is 9.6. Growth rate is 20% for 4 years. And after that, it should be 0%. And should be $20.01 based on the calculator. Let's yeah. So it grows at 20% for the next 4 years, and it's going to be 0% after year 4. So you should, the last dividend for your calculation should be D4 and also P4. But you need to use D5 to get P4. So now let me just, if we don't use this calculator, so it should be D1 is how much? D1 is D0, 1 plus 20%. So it should be 1.2. D2 is D1 increased by 20%, so it should be 1.44. And D3 should be still increased by another 20%, but it should be D3 increased by 20%. So it equals to 1.44 times 1.2. So it equals to 1.728. Alright, and now we want to know D4. D4 is D3 increased by 20%, equals to D4 equals, yeah, oh, here it should be D2. So D3 increased by 20%, so it should equals to 1.728 times 1.2. So it should equals to 2.0736. Okay, now we need D5 to get P4. D5 in this case should equals to D4 multiplied by the increase rate, which is 0%. So, and that means D5 should equals to D4 equals to 2.0736. Now P4, so we get D5, we can get P4, just like we get D1, we use dividend growth model to get P0. So it should be D5 over R minus G. But remember here, G is not 20%. Now it's constant, hold it at 0%. So P4 should equals to D5 over R is 9.6% minus 0. So it should equal to 20.6%. 21.6. Okay, so now since we know the cash flow for holding the stock is how much, so NPV function 9.6%, first dividend, second, third, and the fourth one, plus the price. So this should be our answer. Let's see we got the same answer or not, same result or not. 21.01. It's exactly the result shown based on the calculator. So you see, you can trust the calculator, or you just do this calculation. So if you use this calculator, the first input should be dividend at year 0. So if it's not given, for example, D1 is given, but you also know the growth rate, then you use D1 divided by 1 plus G to get D0. But you need D0 in this case, in this calculator. And growth rate in year 1, 2, 3, 4, until the last one. Last one will stay constant since from that year. From then on, and then also put down the required rate of return, and then it will calculate stock price for you. Okay, so this is this question.